Chris Watts opened up about the many cracks in his marriage shortly after being sentenced to life in prison without parole for murdering his entire family. In an interview with authorities in his Wisconsin prison cell, Watts admitted his marriage was strained and that his wife Shanann Watts had been estranged from his parents, Cindy and Ronnie Lee Watts, at the time of the murder. Chris also told investigators that his father had been so distraught about his son's decision to marry Shanann. Oh my God, get this, guys. That Ronnie Lee Watts, aka Papa Watts or Grandpapa Watts, developed what his son believed to be a cocaine addiction. Watts recounted that the man became hooked on a white powdery substance that was depleting the family's bank account. First of all, that whole gaslighting, tormenting of Shanann makes sense in North Carolina, as does Nikki Kessinger being there now. Check out our videos on Nikki Kessinger in North Carolina and South Carolina. And now this is all making sense. Oh my God. Watts had moved from North Carolina to Colorado with Shanann right after his wedding. The relationship between the bride and her in-laws was already strained at that point in the relationship, as evidenced by the fact that Cindy and Ronnie did not attend the couple's wedding. I think the Watts and NK are trying to flip the script, and really Chris Watts was severely hurt that his family did not show up to his wedding. Leave your comments below. Did Ronnie Watts and Nichol Kessinger meet when Ronnie and Cindy would go out to visit Shanann and Chris in Colorado? Why do I have this feeling that Shanann and Chris paid them to come out to watch the kids so she could go to her Thrive classes? I definitely think Shanann knew that Ronnie had a drug problem. I don't even think that it was cocaine. I think it was heroin. He looks like he's like nodding out in every picture. Or like heroin and cocaine. I feel like Shanann was helping them. Like, why don't you, we'll fly you out. I'm being shown this is what happened. She said, we'll fly you out. Shanann's showing me. She and Chris discussed it and they decided to offer his parents. And we'll pay you to watch the kids because Sandy had to work. Right? But Shanann didn't do it because she needed someone to babysit. She did it because she wanted to help them. She knew Ronnie had a problem and she was trying to help them. And they're ingrates. I literally just had a download. When I get a spiritual download, it's usually, if it's not on the money, it's pretty dang close. And I never read that anywhere. But the Great Spirit is speaking to me, and he's speaking also on Chris Watts' sister. Spirit's showing me Jamie. She tried to help all of them. She wasn't going to hand out money, and that pissed them off. She would lead them to Wooder, like a job. Like when she hooked Jamie up with Thrive. Shanann knew everything about their financials and the drugs. She did not tell her mother, Sandy, because she did not want her mom to like be concerned about the kids and stuff and look at them different. So Shanann never even told on you. Meanwhile, y'all are plotting on this. All added tension to an already volatile situation. His mother initially believed his father was having an affair because he could not account for missing money. Just the fact that Ronnie Lee Watts, the grandpappy and the father to Chris Watts, the grandpappy to Bella and Celeste, wiped out Cindy Watts' bank account. They were broke. And they're talking about Shanann's finances. It seems like they were so involved in Shanann's finances because they were broke. This is really, really sinister, y'all. Allegedly, Chris Watts has never used drugs and tried to talk to his father about why he was using drugs. Another one of my favorite sayings from my mother is, an apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And I don't believe for 1 second that Chris Watts was not on drugs. I think he was on multiple, all kinds of drugs. Leave your comments below. What do you think? In an ironic change of events, Chris Watts told his father that he was throwing his life away. According to the report, he also recalled how Ronnie had been rapidly losing weight and suffering frequent nosebleeds. Then it just stopped one day. The report gave little info as to why or how Ronnie Lee kicked the habit and instead just stated Watts talked to his father. His father stopped using drugs. There's missing pieces to this story if Ronnie Watts had a drug addiction and currently has one, or if he did just stop one day, then either he had some kind of heart attack or stroke and he had to stop, and then they probably put him in rehab. Who thinks Ronnie Watts may have met Nikki Kessinger in rehab? Comment your thoughts below. What is not clear is if they still believe that it was Shanann who killed daughters Bella 4 and Celeste just turned 3, as their son first told police. You mean that implanted thought that your relative agent Tammy Lee implanted in his mind? They've been steady rocking with that whole Shanann hurt the kids theme. Shanann hurt the kids, so he hurt her. And I guess they're trying to say Shanann was an alcoholic. She's bossy, as NK would say. And as NK put it, it was financial burdens. I don't think it was me. I think it was money problems. Meanwhile, Ronnie Watts is emptying out Cindy and Ronnie Watts' life savings at senior citizen age. Okay. They're basically flip-flopping their lives into Shanann's life. What a twisted tale. That just adds more to my theory that Nichol knew the Wattses. They're all sticking to the same script, and now they're blaming Shanann's friend. She and Nicole Atkinson, the Nichol that came to the house that day, are the masterminds behind this whole plan, or plot rather, according to their damage control media talking heads that are putting out stories, picking apart Shanann and bashing her at every turn, which does not add up at all. Watts revealed that his parents, Cindy and Ronnie, had urged him to argue that he was the victim of emotional and mental abuse. They thought this might save him at trial and help him avoid a life sentence, explained their son. The report gave little info as to why or how Ronnie kicked the habit and instead stated Watts talked to his father. His father stopped using drugs. Enabling someone with a drug problem is not helping them. Look at him. He's nodded out. Allegedly, Chris Watts has never used drugs and tried to talk to his father about why he was using drugs. When Chris Watts talked to his father about his addiction, his father immediately changed the subject. His father was coping with the fact that he never came back. His father got addicted to drugs because his grown-ass man of a son got married to a good girl that didn't cheat on him, made money, had them living well. And you couldn't cope? So you blame Shanann for your drug use. Blaming Shanann is not taking self-accountability. You're blaming Shanann when she never even told anyone about your drug problem and bankrupt account. Do you guys think maybe possibly NK and Jamie Watts met through selling whatever different things Shanann sold, bags or something, or the hospital? Leave a comment. I read over every single solitary text and put them in order. And Nikki was chasing Chris. He did not lie about that. And he just was ignoring her. She was the one chasing him. Not at all what she tells law enforcement in her interview. Reading their whole story. She was just like a literal booty call. A booty call. And then she slid in there, and they had private jokes. She got the job at Anadarko, and that's when everything got serious. So, in a way, she's not lying. But she didn't tell them about her other phone. The one that had the broken SIM card, that she actually used that one. It was a burner cell. And she didn't tell them about North Carolina. And why Shanann and the Watts family really had it out. Lots of gaslighting and love bombing from her dog of a husband and his dog of a family. Shanann finding razor blades scattered all around the house. I wonder what that was for. Ronnie, Grandpapa Watts, trying to drug and kill Shanann with oxys and let Cece touch nuts. They very well could have taken out Celeste and Shanann. That's when Chris said God gave him chances. That was the first chance, Chris. And if Chris Watts is going to take stuff to his grave, I don't think you're going to be able to, Chris. God is unveiling it and unveiling it. Maybe he's afraid to tell. That could be too. Comment below what you think. This all added tension to an already volatile situation. His mother initially believed his father was having an affair because he could not account for missing money. Allegedly, Chris Watts has never used drugs and tried to talk to his father about why he was using drugs. When Chris Watts tried to talk to his father about his drug addiction, he immediately changed the subject. Papa Ronnie Lee Watts couldn't cope after Chris and Shanann moved to Colorado. I don't blame them for moving to Colorado. Comment below if you think that the Watts family was constantly asking for money from Shanann, or at least to Chris, and that's why Shanann handled the money, because she was the type of person where she would help you get a job, which was a downfall apparently, because when she got the sister Jamie linked in with Thrive or stealing selling handbags like Shanann did, side eye. Is that how and when NK came in the picture? Leave your thoughts below. To support these works, like, comment, share us on Facebook, on Twitter. According to the report, he also recalled how Ronnie had been rapidly losing weight and suffering frequent nosebleeds. Then just go check us out on TikTok and on Facebook. Our socials will be linked in the description box, as will our video playlist. And thank you for watching.